103.2 Preston FM.
We dare to be different.
Eva Cassidy and Imagine, and on this day in 2002 that was number one in the album charts in this country. And I'm pleased to say that the person who's going to be playing Eva Cassidy on stage, Nicole Farraday, is on the line right now from a very wet London. So
indeed, it's pouring with rain here. I'm sitting outside the Saatchi Gallery in Chelsea, and it's absolutely pouring down.
Oh dear. Well, I'm pleased to say it's a reversal of weather then at the moment, the north-south divide. So, Nicole, lovely to talk to you. And lots of people, of course, before we talk about the Eva Cassidy, of course, lots of people will remember you from Bad Girls and,
indeed.
And, of course, Dr. Heather Lincoln in BBC's Casualty. And And then, of course, the man-eater Veronica on ITV's Emmerdale.
Yes, Emmerdale last year. Poor old Patrick Mower. I don't think he knew what was coming to him. Yeah, no, it was great fun. I seem to have specialised on television in playing quite evil characters, so it's quite nice for me to play Eva Cassidy. It's a bit of a departure because she was such a spiritual, quite lovely lady, and it's probably one of the only characters I've ever played that isn't a horrible, evil piece of work. So,
is that right? Yes.
Yes.
And what about, I mean, the theatre? You were born in Germany, that's right, isn't it? That
I was born in Germany, and my father was in the Air Force, so I lived in Germany till I was nearly 3, but I can't really remember much about it. And then I grew up in Swanage in Dorset, down south, almost directly opposite the Isle of Wight on the mainland. It's where my mother's hometown, and I love it down there. I go home as much as I can when I'm not working at the sea.
And what about acting? I mean, when did acting first appear on your horizon? When was it something, you thought, wow, this is what I want to be? And can you remember what it was that caused you to want to do it?
I just from a very young age, I always just loved acting, singing. I used to take dance classes 3 times a week. My poor parents, I think there was so much extracurricular activities. Every night my mum would be taking myself, my sister and my brother off to different classes, different acting groups, different operatic society, ballet classes, this, that and the other. And I started off doing church pantomimes actually when I was little, and then the local dancing school pantomimes. And then I don't know, I think the thing is most people like dressing up and playing characters and putting on silly voices when they're young, but they grow out of it and get a proper job. And myself and my fellow actors just never grew up. We just decided we wanted to carry on playing around for a living, and I've been really fortunate to have made a living out of playing all these different characters. I feel really lucky. It would have been my hobby if it wasn't my job. So
yeah, that's a nice hobby to have, I'm sure. And what about, I mean, how different then is TV work, say, to appearing live on stage, as you are going to be doing again quite soon?
Yeah, it's totally different. I mean, it's totally different working, to be honest. I mean, we trained at a college. I trained in musical theatre. I did a 3-year musical theatre course, so my background was theatre and singing. But you just don't really get taught much about television work at drama school, or you didn't in my day. I just kind of learned on the job, really, because there's so many different technical terms, and so much of television work is to do with things that are beyond your control as a performer. It might be to do with sound issues, like if an aeroplane goes over, even if you've done the best performance of your life, they'll go, no, we have to do it again, there was an aeroplane. Or to do with camera angles, where you'll feel really unnatural, you'll be twisting your body at a really funny angle, but on screen it looks perfectly normal. So it's a lot more about kind of joining the dots with that, whereas with theatre it's much more of an immediate feeling. You have the adrenaline rush, you have the live audience there, because with television half the time, you don't get, no one sees it for 6 months, so you don't have as much of an exciting buzz as you're doing when you're doing telly or film as you do with theatre. So it feels completely different, and I prefer theatre, because with theatre you only have yourself to rely on, and if you're stood on stage and you forget what you're doing, forget your lines, lose your bottle, then it's only you that you can rely on. Whereas with television, however good you are, it could be someone else doing something that actually in the edit you end up on the cutting room floor, and it doesn't show you off to your best ability. So I like the kind of scared feeling you get doing theatre, and then the adrenaline rush you get at the end if it's gone well.
Yeah, and as you said, some of the characters that you played on TV, Veronica in Emmerdale, and of course the brilliant portrayal of Snowball Merriman,
Snowball, from Wigan.
That's right, the glamorous murderess. Does this mean then, when you were at drama school, etc., that were these the kinds of roles that you relished?
I think, I don't know. I mean, everyone, you have to accept the fact that this is quite an oversubscribed profession, and everyone, to an extent, unless you're hugely famous, gets slightly typecast. And it does very much depend on the first kind of roles you get. And it just so happened that my first sort of breakthrough role was Snowball, who was a drug smuggling, murdering ex-porn star from Wigan. So once you've played such a kind of intensely evil character that's got that kind of persona, people know you for that, then it goes to, it goes without saying that probably then you'll be seen kind of in that box. And I guess because I've got long blonde hair and quite glamorous and things, it's kind of glamorous, seductress, murderess type characters that I go for. But having said that, I'm not unhappy by the typecasting, because I really enjoy playing those kind of roles, and I think it's much more fun being the baddie, because it's kind of, well, I'd like to think I'm quite a nice person in real life, so it's kind of nice. You can take your frustrations out, you can be really, really evil, and then at the end of the day go, okay, I'm back to being me again now. And I do a lot of pantomimes as well, playing the Wicked Queen in pantomime because of the evil characters I play, and it's just great fun. You always get the big belty songs, sometimes you get to fly, you get to kill people and do a wicked evil laugh. It's great fun. Yeah, so I do relish playing evil characters. Having said that, Eva Cassidy was not an evil character at all, and from her playing her point of view, I love playing her just because she sings the most beautiful songs. Her interpretations are so haunting, and I think anyone that's heard her versions of different songs, which you might have originally thought could never be bettered or altered because they're classics like Over the Rainbow, Fields of Gold, Songbird, I think people just are in admiration for the fact that she can make a classic song her own with her own version, put her own stamp on it, and I love singing that kind of stuff. So.
And I mean, this is the 10th anniversary of the UK tour of Over the Rainbow, and you've starred in it before, haven't you, Nicole?
I have, yeah. I've done 2 of the tours before. I think I did one in 2006 and one in 2007. So I actually have performed in Preston before. We did it then, I think 7 years ago, or even the one before that. But yeah, we're doing a few different venues, a lot of the same venues, and it went down so well, and I really loved playing her. But this script, actually, it's been rewritten just for the 10th anniversary. They've decided to look at it from a different point of view. So whereas before we showed a lot of her family life and her growing up and how she really kind of got her first love for music, with this, it's far more focused on the adult influences in her life. So there are new characters that have been written in there. So if people saw the show before, they'll be interested, hopefully, to watch it. We're doing different songs. We're doing, there's different characters, different songs. Obviously, still the same tragic story because she sadly died of cancer prematurely. But yeah, there are lots of different things to look forward to, as opposed to it being exactly the same show as people might have seen before.
And you're coming to the beautiful Grand Theatre in Blackpool.
We are.
I mean, how difficult is it then to kind of get the balance? Because as you say, it's also quite a sad story. It's a poignant and moving story, but in many respects it's also an uplifting story. So is it difficult to get the balance right? I think so. I think people enjoy the show because they find her music so beautiful. For example, one of the songs that I sing in the show, and I've sung quite a lot in my own career as well because I do my own cabarets, is Songbird, and her version of Songbird is so beautiful, and I've sung it at least 3 different weddings because it's got such heart. The way she sings it is so heartfelt, and it's got such beautiful lyrics. So her songs that her song choices, a lot of them are uplifting or beautiful, romantic. They evoke happy or incredible emotions in people. So from that point of view, it's uplifting. And we recreate a couple of her kind of more boisterous live. I don't know if people know that she did a lot of blues and jazz and rock stuff as well as her folky stuff. So we recreate a couple of her actual gigs, and they're very uplifting. It's just like being part of a gig atmosphere. But then obviously you do have the poignancy of the fact that she died of skin cancer at age 33, which is terribly tragic. So she never knew the fame that she's had posthumously. She wasn't really famous at all when she was alive. It's all since she died. But I think a lot of people find it emotional and moving and can relate to it because these days, sadly, so many people's lives are touched by cancer. So I think from that point of view, people can empathise with her and they not enjoy, which is different to say, but
people can empathise with the story and want to see the story and understand how it feels for somebody to get cancer and how, people get cancer. It's not their fault. It just happens. So from that point of view, yes, it is an uplifting story, but also obviously a tragic one. And
when you're on stage, are you Nicole or are you Eva?
When I'm on stage, am I Nicole or Eva? I think I'm not a method actress, so I always remain as Nicole underneath it all, but I would like to think and hope that I'm a good enough actress that with whatever character I play, I always try and understand them. Even if they're an evil character, you have to empathise with them. In order to play them, you have to try and get into their psyche and understand why they behave like they behave. And with someone doing a biopic like this is, where you're actually playing someone that really existed, a real person, obviously you have to do your research and you have to try and understand how they're thinking, how they're feeling in order to be able to portray the character. So I'd say I am, underneath it all, I'm Nicole, but for those 2.5 hours, I'm very definitely being as convincingly Eva as possible.
Yes, and I mean, you've had in the past standing ovations. It's received lots of praise within the press. So, it's certainly a show for people to come along and see. The tour begins on 9th of September, so are the rehearsals continuing?
Yes. We're rehearsing from this week, and then, we open on the 9th of September in Wellingborough, and then we travel all over the UK and in Ireland as well, which would be lovely. We did Ireland before. I enjoyed touring. It's a nice opportunity to go and see that green and pleasant land. But we also do Scotland. We do, all over the place. If people have a look, then they should be able to find a venue near them. Definitely, we do the Manchester Palace Theatre. We're doing Leeds. We're doing Belfast. We're doing Bristol. All over.
And hopefully some decent weather when you're touring the country.
Well, I do hope so. I hope it brightens up after today. Literally, I'm sitting underneath the pillar at the front of the Saatchi gallery, hoping that the rain stops enough for me to be able to leave. Otherwise, I'll be stuck at the Saatchi gallery until the next time we speak.
and apart from repeats, etc., anything coming up on the box quite soon that people can see you in?
No, not that I'm aware of. Having said that, I did a film that came out in the cinema a couple of months ago called Top Dog, which is still available. I think it's in the DVD charts. It was a sort of new gangster flick starring by the guy that wrote Green Street, which is quite a popular East End drama, starring Leo, Gregory, Ricky Hartnett, directed by Martin Kemp, and I played sort of one of the main female characters in that. So if people want to see me on screen, that's available on DVD and I think in Tesco and Sainsbury's, places like that. So.
And if there was any role in the future that you could have your pick of, what would you like to play?
I played Blanche de Bois in A Streetcar Named Desire a couple of years ago, but it was only a very short run just because of the theatre itself only had a limited period that we could put it on for. But I absolutely relished playing that role because she's such a flawed, tragic, but intense character to play, and it's one of the greats with, Streetcar Named Desire, Tennessee Williams is one of the great plays that's ever been written, and I would love the chance to play her again and do a proper run of it somewhere.
Lovely. Nicole, can I thank you for talking to us today on this Bank Holiday Monday? And
thank you.
We look forward to seeing you at the Palace over there in Manchester and at Blackpool Grand on the 8th of October. So,
lovely, look forward to it.
Okay, thank you very much, Nicole.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Made by people like you.
Your community.
Your radio.
Your Preston FM.